Hey everybody, thank you for joining. So, due to popular demand, everybody's been asking to know more about how I actually invest in crypto. So, I put together a presentation that goes inside not only my crypto portfolio, but also my investment philosophy. So, let's jump in. First of all, math. Math is the future of money. It's time to exercise some of those skills that we learned in school, ultimately to really help drive freedom, financial independence, retire early. It's a huge movement and it's personally very fascinating. So drill more into that. I appreciate it. So let's talk more about what we have in store today. So first of all, regarding me and my portfolio, what you got? So I have a big chunk of crypto in my portfolio, and it is a very fast growing part of my portfolio, but it's not all my portfolio. So don't think for a second that I'm only invested in crypto. I also love disruption stocks. I like getting in on them early. Things like Tesla, Square, Invitae, however you say that, and a bunch of other common names that you all know. I also invest heavily in real estate and have probably by far the largest chunk of my portfolio is real estate. Spins off cash flow. That's kind of the portfolio that I have. If anybody's interested in learning more about my other investments, let me know. So there's a few things that are very important to remember regarding rules. And in order to be very successful in this game, you got to be very disciplined and very patient. I'm going to do a subsequent video on my whole investment philosophy that I want to share with you all. But I just want to go over some of the real crypto basics right now that we all should embrace. This slide should be printed off and stuck on your wall or on your bathroom mirror when you wake up in the morning. And if you are playing with crypto, you are playing with fire. So bear that in mind. But these are the few things that I just want to share with you all. And these are kind of my crypto investing philosophy elements. Number one, get in early. I was fortunate to get in early. I know many of you are as well. But also remember, better late than never sometimes. Second of all, always back winners. This applies to all investments, not just crypto. You don't want to invest in Yahoo as a search engine or some online pet food company as an e-tailer. Always back the winners. Identify them early and follow them through. Third, if you're using altcoins, use Bitcoin as a cost basis, not US dollars. That's very, very important. In yesterday's video, I spoke about comparing Bitcoin to gold. Doesn't really make any sense. But remember, as the dollar depreciates, you need something realistic to benchmark altcoins against. And the only thing that I can think of is Bitcoin. So please keep that in mind. Fourth, watch market caps. Avoid the crumbs. Avoid the small players. If you see a altcoin with a $10 million or $100 million market cap, it's very small. And because it's small, it has more inherent risk, in my opinion. Not investment advice, just my humble opinion. Number 5, understand the use case and the special sauce that this altcoin would have. Obviously, the use case for Bitcoin, multiple, but mainly as a store of value. The use case for things like Ethereum, things like DeFi, smart contracts, etc. Many, many use cases. So the better the use case, the more unique the use case, the more special sauce, number one in their field, the better it is. Number 6, listen to smart people. Obviously, that speaks for itself. But there are people that will try to dissuade you from crypto. And they are very passionate. And you see a lot of them on TV, like the Shifts of the world and Rubinis, these people. They hate crypto with absolute contempt. So avoid them. It's okay listening to them now and again to get their point of view. They may stumble across a nugget of information that could be helpful, but just don't let yourself be dissuaded. Number 7, think long term. Play the long game. Somebody posted in a comment there, what's the best way to short crypto? That's like jumping in front of a freight train. Not something I would advise. So think long term when you invest in crypto, as long as you back the winners. Number 8, don't get obsessed. Don't be up 24 hours a day looking at the ticker, looking at prices, reading news. It's good to do a lot of, research, a lot of information, but just don't let it interrupt your life or your sleep. 9, only invest what you can afford to lose, because you never know where any of this could go. There's always a tiny, tiny chance, it might be 5% or 1%, that things could go to zero. So just be prepared for that. And finally, number 10, research. Tides can turn. You need to be on top of this. I think things long-term like Bitcoin are very, very safe, but other things can turn very, very quickly. So I just wanted to share kind of my top 10 rules for playing in this particular environment. So let's jump ahead a little bit. So Finance 101. Now, you've heard me, if you followed any of my videos, I like derivatives, I like arbitrage, etc. But let's talk about derivatives for a minute. A derivative is typically a contract that derives its value from performance of an underlying entity. There are many different types of derivatives. Many of them I played with a large part of my life. Futures, options, forward, swaps, etc. However, when I think of an additional fifth type of derivative, that is something that is the price of which is driven heavily by an underlying asset that I like. For example, MicroStrategy and Bitcoin. It's as clear as day. That business has become a de facto call option on the future of Bitcoin. So that is therefore a derivative because the underlying asset, MicroStrategy, derives its value from the performance of an underlying entity, which is Bitcoin. That's therefore, when I use the term derivative, that's what I mean. Now, this particular presentation today has a number of derivatives in it. Let's jump in. Not investment advice, do your own research, etc. You can read that at your leisure, but as always, I have to say that. Hope you got it. Sorry to waste time. The other thing that I also like to do, as many of you know me by now, I like to supercharge my investments with options. And I'll talk about the power of that as we go through the slides. The other thing that I really want to stress going forward, when people see these slides, I don't want them getting too excited or have the same expectation. Remember, my cost average is very low. I did a lot of dollar cost averaging as well in many, many positions. And I supercharge my positions with options on derivatives. So remember, this is not for everybody, but you guys wanted to see what I have. And one thing that I can assure you of, I am absolutely open, transparent, and honest. I don't scam. I am doing this for you guys. So due to popular demand, here is my crypto portfolio. So first of all, high-level crypto breakdown. What I did here was I broke it into different categories. I like to put things in buckets. I have my Bitcoin Pure Play, which is pure Bitcoin. I have my Bitcoin derivatives, which we just spoke about what they were. I have my Ethereum Pure Play, which is pure Ethereum. My Ethereum derivative, which is the Ethereum Trust. And then I have my Bitcoin Ethereum Mix, which is Bitwise. And that is what it looks like in big buckets. So I am currently now, as of the prices today, 81% Bitcoin and Bitcoin derivatives. I'm 17% Ethereum and Ethereum derivatives, and I'm 2% blended both Bitcoin and Ethereum. The Bitwise thing was just a IRA fun gamble, nothing too big. But let's drill a little deeper. As you guys know by now, I like to go deep. So the detailed crypto portfolio breakdown is as follows. I am now, as of today's prices, 37% pure Bitcoin. I'm 11% pure Ethereum. My MicroStrategy has skewed my portfolio heavily. That trade is now a 200 bagger plus, and I'll talk more about the profit attribution by each position. I am in 10% Square and PayPal, and you know I am bullish on those because they are also Bitcoin derivatives. And I've got 12% in the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, Ethereum, and Bitwise in 401k and IRA tax-deferred accounts. So those things are kind of, I trade them because I can incur gains and not have to pay taxes on them. So when they bounce, I may sell. I'll do a future video on when I believe certain exits should be for certain investments that are housed within in retirement accounts. So that is my detailed crypto portfolio breakdown. Now, this is for me the interesting piece because sometimes when you make an investment, you don't know what you're going to get. So this is the profit share by position. If you imagine, I won't share the actual amount of profit that I have, but if there's a clever person out there, they can figure out pretty easily how this is all done. But Bitcoin and MicroStrategy has basically contributed 76% of my profit of all my positions, but they only hold 67% of the portfolio. So 2/3 of my portfolio has generated over 3/4 of the profit. Let that sink in. I'll repeat that again just to make sure you all got it. 2/3 of my portfolio has generated over 3/4 of my profit. The 13% of the profit has been generated by Ethereum, a big thanks to what it did over the last 24 hours, and 11% the rest. So I got in late to the Grayscale ETH and Grayscale Bitcoin Trust and Bitwise. They were investments made in November and December, but even then they have performed quite well. And also you'll see here that there's a very interesting slide coming, but I don't want to steal any thunder from that right now. But even getting into MicroStrategy late shows the huge power of supercharging your investments. That trade has done very well. So this slide really goes into looking at the actual returns on positions, which the slide is a little bit misleading, so I will scale it back. But the MicroStrategy position has really skewed the portfolio. As I mentioned before, it has over 2,150% profit at this stage. Not my biggest profit ever. Last year, I had a Tesla option trade that has it over 5,000% gain. But Tesla, what it did last year, we're going up 8 times in a year. I had some call options on that. I'll do a separate video on the call options as part of my options class as to how it can really supercharge things. But the important thing to note here is MicroStrategy has done very well and it's dwarfed everything else. What is interesting to look at, if you look at the returns on positions, if I scale MicroStrategy back down and assume I just bought the call option, the returns will look something like this. So here you will see the Bitwise profit. It's very small. PayPal is very small. And in full disclosure, I just got into PayPal right after the time that they announced that they were doing Bitcoin servicing and allowing their members to buy and trade crypto. So that brought me into PayPal. I've had Square for a long time. I bought Square back in March during the C19 crisis, and I bought some $40 calls at a very low price. So that trade is up nearly 500%. And you can see there the Bitcoin is up over 300%, and Ethereum, the Grayscale Ethereum Trust, up about 30%, etc. So you get the idea of how I look. So the Square trade is the top gainer after MicroStrategy. However, the Square position is small. I should have gone in a lot bigger back then, but I wasn't sure where it would go. And of course, Bitcoin gains are the third position after Square and the MicroStrategy option. So if you take out option plays, Bitcoin is still the best performer that I have in my portfolio. Now, one thing I just want to caution everybody, HODL is the expression hold on for dear life, and it's called that for a reason because this stuff is extremely volatile. Even if you look at the positions today, I know Ethereum went from 1440 down to 1335 in the space of an hour, and Bitcoin did something very similar. They went from about 38,000 all the way down to 36,000 in the space of an hour. So this stuff is highly volatile. So hold on for dear life. Think long term. If in doubt, zoom out. Next up, so the name of this channel is Invest Answers, and I want to share something with you all. So what I have planned next is a huge demand for Options 101 training. So I'm going to do a series of options classes. I'm going to start at the very beginning. I'm going to talk about my trading philosophy. I'm going to talk about my background, which a lot of you have been asking for, where I come from, how I know this stuff, etc. And then every week I'm going to do this new segment. It's going to be called Weekly Answers. I'm going to take the top 5 questions posed in the chats below and answer them each week. A lot of you all have questions, and I want to be there to be able to answer them. Some of them are quite tricky. Some of them are quite simple. But I think when I think that many people ask the same question, I will definitely do it. So please be active in the comments. If you like this information, please like, subscribe, hit the bell. Thank you, everybody, for all the support. My videos have now nearly 500,000 views. Regarding the comments, I have somebody now helping me with the scammers so that as this stuff grows, remember, I'm the black bubble. Ignore everybody else. They are in there every hour. They hit all videos, all comments all the time, but we're trying to make their life as difficult as we can. So a big thank you, everybody, for everything. I want to share one last thing here. This is my bull. I meant to show him in yesterday's video, but my brass bull, because we're bullish. Have a good day, everybody.